talk about accountability with guest host Black Bob Ross.
Hello and welcome to the TA Soup Show. That's soup with a Y and not nine. I'm a Black Bob Ross and I'm guest hosting today for TA Soup. She has the night off. She asked me to speak on the subject of accountability. Of course, I was willing to do it. We go way back, but I was also willing to do it because she knows that my voice is it's pretty soothing. So even if I say something a little harsh, people still gonna listen. I thank you for listening to the TA Sue Show and her stories and her advice. If you read the description, you get all that good stuff there. But what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna read a little, talk a little, drink a little coffee. Hope you're having a good day. First thing I want to talk about on this subject of accountability is going to start with a little letter. This is from one of T.A. Suyt's books. It's her third book, to be exact. It's called Reaching. And this is the beginning excerpt, introductory to the book. And I want to read this first because I think it does a perfect job of kind of explaining on that wonderful subject of accountability and just kind of touches on it very nicely. And you can get this book on Amazon and so many others. Again, just go in that description box and make sure that you read up on those books and support her by subscribing and telling your friends. Alright, I'm going to start reading now. Hope y'all like it. Again, this is the introductory excerpt from the book Reaching. And this is about T.A. Suyt herself. It starts off like this. In early 2020, or as I've dubbed it, the year of change, I had officially finished going through my spiritual ascension. Now, I'm not the expert on the matter. I have no clue what it's like for other people. I'm sure they can articulate it more profoundly and have it sounding like a real out-of-body experience. But I just know what it was like for me and how I know that it was indeed a spiritual ascension. And let me put this whole thing into perspective for you. In a nutshell, for the past 10 years, I've been constantly feeling like I was stuck in a rut, repeating negative cycles, no major changes in any areas of my life, depressed, angry, stagnant. But it wasn't until the previous summer that I realized why all of this was happening. I've been going through growing pains as a result of me spiritually getting ready to transform into the next phase of my life. Now, I wouldn't say that this ascended version of me is any better than the old me. I've discovered she still has some ways to go, but she is the version of me that is required for this next phase of my life. I was finally able to get out of my rut with a lot of deep inner work and healing, coupled with a lot of self-care. I learned that unless you have short-term memory, you won't always forget how other people have hurt you. Or as the great Maya Angelou once put it, people will forget what you said, people will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. So I sometimes still feel the sting. The past hurts, the pain, but I have also forgiven those people in order to move forward with my life. I've discovered that a lot of the invisible bondages, repeating cycles, and fluctuating emotions were mostly due to my own self-inflictions. And because I can't always control my situations or make people treat me the way I deserve to be treated, I can't take responsibility for those people's actions. But I can and have learned how to take responsibility for myself. Once I started taking responsibility for my own life and my life only, I immediately noticed the change. I don't feel as frustrated anymore, less anxious and drained. I don't necessarily have to forget, but I do willingly forgive. I've surrendered old behaviors and attitudes that do not serve me. I started taking responsibility for my own happiness after remembering happiness is a choice, my choice. And most importantly, I began to let others take responsibility for themselves. So now when you interact with me, it's different. My confidence is back. I don't repeat old negative cycles. I feel lighter, happier, leaving my depression in the past where I once found it. I am still a work in progress, but a beautiful work at that. And it's all because of one day I just woke up. I finally woke up, not realizing the real me had been asleep for about 10 years and just needed to be nudged awake. For years, I thought I would never get out of that rut. To God be the glory. If only the me from 10, 5, or even the beginning of last year could see me now, man, would they all be so proud. T.A. Suyt, March of 2020. Mm, mm, mm. Isn't that something? Isn't that amazing? T.A. Suyt had to learn that it's accountability that she had to take in her own life in order to see the changes happen. See, a lot of times we think that the changes in our life is based off of our situations or other people, our surroundings, but that's not necessarily true. What we have to remember is that life is about choices. And what we choose to do with our choices determines how we live. We can live happy, we can live abundantly, but it all depends on our choices because some people just don't change. Our surroundings, they don't either. Sometimes we just have things that is out of our control, but what we can control is ourselves. And I always read that little excerpt, that little introductory to her book there because it is so profound that she realized that the rut that she was in, even though she may not have put herself there, she knew she was the only one who was going to get her out of it. And sometimes that's what we have to remember. We have to remember that, folks. We have to remember that the only thing that is stopping you from getting to a better place in your life is you. Isn't that amazing? It's very amazing. I'm very happy to be here again. I'm Black Bob Ross, filling in for T.A. Suyt tonight, and very happy to be here. Excuse me, my throat is parched. I'm gonna get a little drink of coffee here. Taste it. Ain't nothing like a little coffee in the evening. Decaf though, cause I'm not trying to stay up all night. All right, I'm gonna read some quotes now from T.A. Suyt, and remember that there's a whole book of quotes now from T.A. Suyt that's been released in 2022, and it's called a very tiny book of very big quotes. I'm holding it in my hand right now. It's pocket size, literally fits in my palm, but I take it everywhere I go, just to remind me of what I should and can be doing better in my life. Now, on this subject again of accountability, this next quote again is still on the same subject. And the quote says, "You can't always blame others or your situation for why bad things keep happening in your life. You have to take some accountability for the things you contributed. It takes a real mature person to take responsibility for their life instead of always quickly finding someone or something else to blame. Mm, mm, mm. When you get time, make sure that you either rewind that, listen to it again, or just buy the book. It's pretty cheap. It's on Amazon right now, about $8.99. Purchase it. But it's so very true. In life, we like our scapegoats. We like a scapegoat. We like to escape life. We like to have something to blame. And it's not always about blaming our situations. It's not always about the problem itself. It's about how are we going to get past it? How can we get past it? Sure, that other person may have upset us, but you have a choice in that moment. Do you get upset? Do you respond with anger? Or do you choose to walk away? There's a lot of things in our life that we ourselves aren't responsible for. Sometimes bad things just happen to us and it has nothing to do with us. Sometimes things just happen. Remember, life is choices. Just because those bad things happen doesn't mean we have to stay where we're at. Which gets into the next quote. Again, this is in her 5th book, that big book of little quotes. It's a little quote book, but it's big quotes in that little book. And this quote says, being passive doesn't mean you'll never have to deal with the situation. It just means you'll have to deal with the situation on a later date. Isn't that amazing? You know, we all have a little artist in us. Of course, I love to paint. T.A. Suyt loves to write. But we all have a little something in us. Something that should drive us forward. This little creative aspect that we have. And we gotta remember that bad things do happen. Every time you look on the news, there's gonna be some story that's gonna upset you. Your own life, your family, your friends, your job, stranger on the street. They may present you with a challenge or a problem. And that's when that whole psychology thing comes in, that fight or flight. You can't run from it. You cannot always run from your problems, because if you do, it doesn't make it go away. It's still there, and it'll show up right when it's ready. There's a lot of people out there lost. There's a lot of us out there lost right now. Drinking, doing drugs, escaping into the world of something. Because we all just need a little escape. We don't want to deal with the present. But what you gotta understand is, if you don't deal with the present, you will have no future. Escaping the situation temporarily doesn't make it go away. It's still gonna be there. Wherever you go, it's gonna follow you. So don't be passive. Deal with it. Make the choice to deal with it in the present so that you can have a better future. There's 2 more quotes I want to get through. This quote, another one, it's about accountability. Don't let your ego get in between you and you doing the right thing. Your own pride can sabotage good things for coming and staying in your life. We can't always blame other people or our situations for the bad things in life. Sometimes these things are happening because of our own decisions. Accountability. We are responsible for ourselves, our actions, our thoughts, our patterns and cycles. These are our choices. These are the results of our choices. And we all have a little ego in us. Some of us have a big ego and some of us have a little one. I have it too. But we can't always blame others. Sometimes people will sit in your direction. They're there for a reason. And they're to teach you something. Teach you a lesson, maybe. Maybe you don't like the way it feels. We don't always like the way it feels when bad things are happening to us. But we can't just blame the situation. We can't just sit there in anger and sadness. But we have to make a better decision. Let's get that ego out of the way. Work on that pride of yours. And try to do better so that you can live a happier and more fulfilled life. This is the final quote. I just want to bring up how, again, I'm very happy to be here. I'm glad that she took the day off and let me come fill in. Sure do like spending time with all y'all, and hope to do it again soon. This final quote again is from that book of quotes, that tiny little book with a lot of big quotes. And it goes something like this. I don't think the point was to make everybody else understand and accept you. They were never supposed to understand you. They are not you. People will go around hurting themselves and others just because they don't feel like other people truly gets them. You have to remember that these same people do not live in your head or have the same experiences. Some come close, but ultimately people are never going to fully get you. The point was, do you understand and accept yourself? Do you get you? Because the second you do, watch how profoundly your life changes. It's not about everybody else. It all starts and ends with you. And that's something you have to remember. Take accountability. Take accountability, folks. I'm Black Bob Ross. Thank you for having me on this episode about accountability. Hope you heard some good advice, something that can help push you forward. Again, this is the TA Soup Show. That's soup with a Y and not an I. Make sure you subscribe and tell your friends. Support TA Soup. I'm Black Bob Ross. God bless. We'll see you in the next one.
Now don't forget to like, share, subscribe, or follow.